All right, gentlemen and ladies, this is Tom from Numbers Game Lifestyle. Today we're going to be talking about the biggest points in male self-improvement, which are money, women, and fitness and health. And which one's most important, and which one should you tackle first, or should you do all at the same time? Which goal is most important? And it's going to be different from every guy out there. Everybody else, everybody's going to have their own sets of strengths and weaknesses and pain points. Let's take myself for an example. The first step that I took in order to do male self-improvement was improving my body, improving my physique. And the reason was that because early on in early high school, I noticed I was the skinniest kid in the class. And when I looked at myself, I didn't like what I looked like in the mirror. When I looked at myself shirtless, I didn't feel confident. I didn't like what I saw. And so that was the first thing that I tackled. That was the first goal. I'm okay, I'm fixing this. And so I dedicated all my spare time to, working out and understanding getting gains and, improving on those gains, getting more and more obsessed and more passionate about, improving yourself. And then yes, of course, women started noticing, guys started noticing. And I got to a certain point where I'm okay, I'm happy, I'm confident, I look good, I can take my shirt off anywhere and, people are going to be impressed. Girls are going to like it, guys are going to like it. I was happy with what I saw in the mirror. I was confident in, what I saw in the mirror, and I was proud of it. In which case I moved on to the next goal, which was handling my, relationship life, my dating life, my, sex life. And that was the thing where it was look, I've got to, I see women checking me out, but I'm not doing anything about it. I'm getting nowhere. Of course, you hit puberty and you're obsessed with girls, right? And it carries on for the rest of your life. And so I figured, yes, I've got to solve this. And so that was the next thing I really dove first into, all out into. Once I got out of university, graduated from university, I went all in on, getting chicks and getting good with dating, getting good with my sex life handled. So I never had to feel any kind of, I was in scarcity. I had nothing going on there. And I'm look, I know I can do this. So I dove headfirst into, cold approach, did really well on that. Then I went to online game, sucked at the beginning, and then I did really well on that as well as I improved my pictures and streamlined things. Yes, and did really well on that as well. Dabbled in some night game as well when it's not really my thing. It was more along the lines of guys inviting me out and then picking up a chick while I happened to be out at the bar. Not really my thing. And social circle, it depends on where you work. It depends on where your social circle is. Not really my thing because it limits your options with women considerably. Okay, so yes, I had my women thing handled. At this point, I was totally secure in being able to get laid when I wanted to with very minimal effort. And the next step was business. That was the last step for me. Money was the concern. I knew I didn't want to work a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life. I absolutely hate it. And I believe, it's wage slavery. Let's be honest. And so, yes, I dove headfirst into business, which is what I'm doing now. And I've done in the past as well with considerable failure. But I learned from those mistakes and I keep trudging on until I succeed. Now, notice on each one of those topics, each one of those components, whether it be, money, whether it be girls, whether that be health and fitness, I did it one at a time, right? You accomplish one, then you move on to the next. You accomplish that and you move on to the next. This is how everybody that succeeds and masters anything in life, this is how they all do it. They do it one at a time, one goal at a time. You notice I didn't do all three. Oh man, like, I get to a teenage level and I'm like, man, I got to make money. Oh, I got to like improve my physique, and I got to get good with the ladies too. And I'm going to do it all at the same time. Hell no. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for everyone that succeeds in life obsesses about it until they move on to the next and then move on to the next. Here's what happens, right? When I was, got my physique in check, that was step one. And then that can go on autopilot. You know how to eat, you know how to train, you know how to count calories, count protein, everything like that. So it all goes on autopilot. Like your workout routine, it's all, habitual. You don't even have to think about it. And then what you do think about is your next goal. Your mind is completely on that next goal, which was for me, getting good with women, right? Dating, getting to abundance with women, racking up like as much sexual abundance as I possibly could. And that is why you do it. You do it one step at a time. All your like thinking goes into the next goal, and everything else runs on autopilot. Your job, you can do that on autopilot. You're working out, you can do that on autopilot because you've already built the habits. You've already built the habits of knowing what to eat, when to eat, meal prep, workout routines. You have that all covered so you can move on to the next thing. And then once you handle the woman thing, let's say you're getting laid, you're like, man, I am happy with my women. I'm happy with, my sex life. I'm happy with my relationship life. Everything is golden. Then that gets put on autopilot. You don't even have to think about it. And then you move all your conscious thinking into the next goal. You accomplish things one at a time. And this is how everybody does it. Think about like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Think about everything that he's accomplished, right? He's become like the world's greatest bodybuilder at one point, the world's highest paid actor at some point, and then he became the governor of California. Could you imagine if he's like, I'm going to do all three at the same time? Yeah, right. He would be stuck at square one because he wouldn't be able to accomplish, rack up the wins needed and the experience needed and the habits needed to accomplish each one of those goals. And it's the same thing with your self-improvement. You have to pick one goal. I don't care if you're like, man, like my dating life sucks, my physique sucks, and my money sucks. Like I want to work on all three at the same time. Not going to work, because each one of those things, each one of those, pain points that you need to overcome requires new habits, new mindsets. And you can't do that when you're trying to accomplish all three at the same time. It is way too hard and it's not feasible. No one that accomplishes anything and masters anything does it this way. They focus their mind on one thing and one thing only. And everything else in life gets kind of put on autopilot. I mean, you still do other things, but you're not consciously thinking about it like night and day, like in the back of your mind. Which is exactly what happens when, you're focused on one goal at a time and you rack up big wins. It's like putting 3 pitchers of water, like an empty pitcher, and you only have 3 drops that you get per day, right? As you work on these things. Could you imagine if you put 1 drop here, 1 drop here, and 1 drop here? It's going to take you years before you notice any kind of thing in the bottom of your cup. Whereas if you put the 3 drops in 1 cup, it's going to take you maybe a month, maybe 2, and you'll notice like, hey, I'm making gains here. This is good. Like I'm going to keep going with this because I can see the water building up in the pitcher. Whereas if you had sprinkled each drop in each little cup, you wouldn't have noticed anything. I'm like, man, I'm not making any gains here. It doesn't matter how much work I'm putting in. I'm not seeing anything in return. And that's exactly what happens when you pick more than one goal. So stick to one goal and one goal only until you're happy with it, until you're happy with the results. And you're like, you know what? I'm ready to move on. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with my body. I'm happy with my sex life, or I'm happy with my money. I'm happy with my, lifestyle. I'm happy with the business I've built, or I'm happy with the money that I make. Then you can move on to the next thing, right? And it depends on your pain point. Everybody's pain point is going to be different. At some point, you're going to be like, man, like I really need to make money. Like money is my highest priority. So yes, you start with the money first. Other guys, it's going to be like, man, I've got my money stuff covered. My physique looks all right. Like I don't feel too bad about it. But man, I'm not getting anywhere with the ladies. Like I am super need to get my sex life handled. So those guys, yeah, dive right into the getting your sex life handled. Where other guys, it's like, man, like I can't even look at myself in the mirror. I just hate what I look like in the mirror. These guys are going to have to, their first priority is to handle their fitness, handle their health, and get that sorted out first, because that's the biggest pain point. And that's what you're going to have to do as well. You're going to have to pick one thing that's bothering you the most, and you go head first on that until you've accumulated enough results where you're like, you know what? I'm good. I'm ready to move on to the next thing. I'm happy with the results I've got. Okay, guys, and that's what I help guys do. I've got coaching and links down below to help you accomplish your woman goals or your physique goals, whatever the goals they may be. And even starting businesses and procrastination and everything like that, overcoming those things, those mindsets. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching.